right,
But
I get to open it.
yes.
And then you're going to have to do a lot. You get to do a lot of the talking on this because I'm going to tell you right now, because this one upset me so much. I did not listen to it again. So there are
Okay.
major holes in my memory. So
Okay.
we are
Great.
back for another after show. The show is doing fantastically. We love it. Thanks for everybody's support and all of the comments, which we've been getting. But this particular
But
episode is one that I really struggled with. And for those who have not listened to our other shows, I am a big baby when it comes to dead animals.
yes. Old
So there
Yeller
we go.
just
So
ran
let's talk
away
about
in your world.
Stop.
Okay.
Yes, Old Yeller ran
Well,
away. Well, actually, Kids
well,
in the Hall saved Old Yeller for me
okay, good.
because of that
So
terrible skit.
so
That's
here's what I
funny.
will say about Alex the parrot.
Yes.
And I reference it in because I think the thing that really should be celebrated and acknowledged here is the work of the doctor who worked with him and all the trainers who worked with him to sort of
See, I was just
show
thinking of how smart he is. I thought
well,
he should be.
get,
Don't give the humans the credit for his work.
let me finish my sentence.
Yes.
To the doctor and the trainers and all of these people who worked with him to bring out and show the intelligence that they knew were contained within these animals.
Okay, that's fair.
And so I did a little research because one of my favorite stories of smart animals, there's Coco, who is
Yes.
amazing.
Yes,
Um,
Coco is amazing.
with her kitten and her love of Mr. Rogers. Okay, you know the Mr. Rogers story, right?
I do, but you can tell it. Our listeners don't.
And I won't
Just
tell
tell
it
it.
then. No.
No, tell it. Tell it. Fine.
So Coco liked to watch Mr. Rogers every afternoon. And when he came to visit her, she made him take off his shoes and his sweater like he did at the beginning of every episode of the show. And again, we talked a little bit about Coco with the sink and blaming the cat for that. And I think both she and Alex show something that people always go back to, this example of clever Hans. I don't know if you're familiar with Hans's work.
I'm not.
Okay, he was a German horse. I don't know what made him German, other than that he was born in Germany, but it's not like he had a little mustache. Late 1800s, early 1900s. And he was like sort of a cause celeb, if we will, not really a fairground attraction, but was known for doing arithmetic.
Okay.
And you could ask him math questions and he would, with his hoof, tap out the answer. And there was a lot of both celebration and doubt on how this trick was done and if it was a trick.
Okay.
And they a bunch of doctors did all this research into it, and what they found was that the trainer of Hans was not intentionally giving him the answers, but through very minor and subliminal body cues and physical cues gave the horse the answer. And so that the horse was not as smart as everyone thought, but the natural bias and sort of people wanting to see something in this horse, finding it and unknowingly cueing him. Alex is not a clever Hans. He is not even a chicken playing tic-tac-toe.
He is not.
Which I did a little research, and I can't believe I had to say that sentence. I did a little research. Chickens can't actually play tic-tac-toe.
Really?
Yeah. It's all a gimmick.
What if it was an exceptional chicken? Like, couldn't there possibly be one that could play tic-tac-toe?
You know of the chicken in Manhattan.
I know, but yes, but
so apparently, one, if the chicken goes first, statistically, whoever goes first has a higher chance of winning in a game of tic. And then there would be a little light and feed that would open up for the chicken to pick the correct one. So sorry to break that one to you.
I know. What other hopes and dreams will you crush today?
Oh God, where should I start? But so I did a little research as well on this idea of smart animals and who are the smartest of most intelligent animals in the world. And a website called Sentient Media has a list of the top 30 a website called Sentient Media has a list of the 30 smartest animals in the world. Number one are humans, which I guess is a gimme, but I've met a few where you're like,
Debatable.
yeah, exactly. Number two is dolphins, which gets back to number one and our friends of the other show.
Yes.
Ravens apparently are number three. Pigs are four. Chimpanzees are five. I'm getting there. Elephants six. And seven is African gray parrots,
Well, there
which
you
is
go.
where Alex
Yes, of
fell.
course.
Their intelligence is supposed to rival apes, and in some areas, and I think it comes up in the episode, surpass the intelligence of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
And they also can use deductive reasoning, which again was one of the things that Alex was very good at. I think Alex
He
was
was.
certainly above and beyond.
Alex was very smart.
And I think for me, what makes the episode so touching and sweet, and for you, incredibly tragic and sad,
Because it's touching and sweet, yes.
is the fact that there was a relationship that went beyond what you would normally assume a test subject and the doctors testing it.
True.
And that it's very hard, I think, not to give human qualities and characteristics to animals. For example, our cat Pancake, I don't think is trying to kill us, but she'd be a lot happier if all of us weren't here.
Of course.
She had a great day yesterday. There was a squirrel right by the window. It was so exciting for her.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
that is a good day for Pancake.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Warren Oates just literally slept in a box. He's got some
But
tissue
that's a good
paper.
day too.
Yeah. But anyway,
If it
so
makes him happy,
there
relative.
was some tissue paper in a bag that came home last week or 2 weeks ago. Last week, he took it out of the bag and has carried it around the house with him, and it's in his bed that he curls up with it and sleeps. So when it comes to cats being smart, which apparently they are one of the top 30, Warren, at least a 31. Let's be honest.
Of course. Absolutely.
But I think the thing about Alex that is so touching and sweet is that the communication is on such a human level.
Yes.
And the fact that it was a relationship that went on for so long, and that,
True.
like anybody, he had good days and bad days.
Yes.
And it's just the story of a beautiful relationship.
It
And
is.
we have it on the show notes, but we'll also put it in the show notes for this. There is a foundation set up. I believe it is called the Alex Foundation, to raise money and help study African gray parrots more and show off their intelligence.
Yes.
And
check.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
I think
We should
probably
probably
check
get it
before.
right.
Yes. Octopi are 8 smartest animals.
That's kind of cool. I mean, I didn't see that in
Bonobos,
my
9.
octopus teacher or whatever.
You would know, you'll probably be reduced to tears.
No, I can't do it. It is alexfoundation.org, and there he
Okay.
is.
Yeah. And then it goes rats. I know, look at him.
He's adorable.
And I think a lot of the audio, or
Wait,
some
there's
of the audio,
speaking engagements? Are there parrots speaking? Wait.
I don't think it's the parrot speak. Is it the parrot speaking engagement?
Oh my, if it is, come on. There has to be a parrot that speaks some of them. Speaking about humans, University of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, Superlingua.
Wake me when
I
Alex
would
is
like
doing
to
a
go
TED
to,
Talk.
well, right. I want to go to a parrot. Like truly. I mean, I truly think the foundation's a really cool concept. I would like some of the speaking engagements to be for said parrots.
Yes.
And they've raised a lot of money.
No, and it's interesting that this doctor was one of the people in the 70s that she was one of the first people to say, like, let's really explore the intelligence of the parrot, because everyone thought with the size of its brain, it can't be that smart. And she's proven, I think, that it rivals dolphins in many, many ways. So good on her, and good great job, science, and ignoring all of this.
And June 15th is the anniversary of when they started working together.
Oh, that's lovely.
I know I'm going to go down a rabbit hole and get very upset.
Yes.
But it's lovely. It is. And it's a lovely episode. I'm just weird. And it actually breaks the mold a bit, which I think is good.
Mm-hmm.
To show that there are last words beyond just the human form.
We can't be accused of being speciesist.
We are not speciesist, one, because we can't pronounce it, but two, because
correct.
we don't behave in such a way.
Yes. And if you say it, we'll hear it, basically, I think is the moral of the story.
Yes.
So before we reduce you to a pile of tears, what should we do next week?
Where shall we do next week? Where do we go from here? What about I don't know. Well, no. I think it's too soon for Isadora. I love Isadora. Our Civil War.
That might be a good one, yes.
That's probably a good one. Yeah.
And it's a great we're not going to tell you any more about that, but what the words are and the context for which they emerged. Abutting Alex's story is just, again, I think one of the things that I think we talk about all the time is the fact that these last words for anybody can run there's such different things one can say and the way they can be taken and the way they can be presented. Alex is such a sweet, it is
right.
Farewell, sweet prince. Good night, sweet prince. Flights of angels sing me to their rest. There's something really nice and touching about it. And you put that up against, say, Poe, there was very much a Gothic romanticism about him.
Yes.
And then if we go with our general friend, something completely different.
Completely different. Is it a weird one is it weird or apropos because it will be the week of Veterans Day?
I think it's okay.
Wait,
Ash Wednesday? What'd you say?
No, Veterans Day.
Oh, Veterans Day. Oh, you're right.
But wait,
that is next week.
Wait, it's a couple weeks for our
couple weeks. Our other, yes.
Yeah, later. But he's a veteran.
He is. And he accomplished a lot. There a lot of challenges. It's unfortunate in some ways that what he is known for is perhaps not his most shining of moments. But what are you going to do? But I have been reading this book on Connie Converse, and we spoke about it briefly, I believe, on the music show. And I think this is a good time and place to bring this up. She was or is, depending how you look at it, a songwriter. She wrote a opera, a series of piano music pieces. And the book is by Howard Fishman, and I highly recommend it. It's called To Anyone Who Ever Asks. And so Converse was born in New Hampshire, living in New York, trying to write songs, trying to sell them, has a really unique vocal range. It's a little bit lower. But she's doing all of this in an era that is not accustomed to the idea of a singer-songwriter or just somebody who's producing music. She moves out to your neck of the woods in Michigan.
Yes.
To live with or near her brother and sister-in-law. And then around her 50th birthday, she writes a series of letters to friends and family. And the only one that was left behind in her collection of material that she very carefully put together in a filing cabinet for her brother, that is, the letter begins to anyone who ever asks, in parentheticals, if I'm unheard from. And it ends, it's very nice. It ends, so let me go, please, and please accept my thanks for those happy times. I am in everyone's debt. She gets into her VW bug and drives off, and no one has ever seen her again.
Yes.
And as a singer-songwriter, she did not reach any sort of prominence until I believe it was the 90s that somebody heard some of these tapes on an independent radio station and was like, this needs to be out there. So she's sort of one of these cause celebs of something that somebody found decades after this stuff was created and said this person needs to be celebrated for their work. And the story, it has an overarching element of sadness to it because you know how it ends. But
do you?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Right.
But the more you dig into each individual section and time in her life, the music's really great and really complex. And the great thing about the book is Fishman gets experts on all these different types of music and types of piano pieces and orchestral things that she's writing, more avant-garde stuff. And they're all saying how far ahead of her time she was, and what she was doing was so far out there. And even the sections of sort of more freeform stuff, she does things that took a long time for anyone else to try. And I started listening because it's this kind of cool riddle wrapped up in an enigma, but it's all really fascinating to hear what she is doing musically. And so what I was thinking was then artists who have disappeared. And I found there are more.
This is an uplifting topic.
Well, so we're talking about famous
I'm
last
getting
words.
ready.
You got to take your sweater off. You got to get cozy.
I got to get ready in case this is a contest.
No,
take my hair down.
No,
all right.
What the hell do you want to talk about?
I know I want
Rebecca
to talk
of
about
Sunnybrook Farm.
Yes, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm definitely likes the Veil Mother.
Yes. So one of the ones that I have always been fascinated by the group of Massachusetts-based poets and writers who died of their own hand and of their own decision. You have your Anne Sextons, your Sylvia Plaths.
Of course.
There's something kind of fascinating about it. Morbidly so, I will grant you. And I like to visit, never like to stay long, It's putting your toe. It's going to that one section of the woods.
Yep.
One section of the woods where you're like, I get a creepy vibe here.
Right.
I'm going to play with that, but then I got to go back home.
Yes.
But one of the ones that I have been most fascinated by as of recently is Barbara Newhall Follett.
Probably not a great name.
My God. So I know. So she was a novelist, but here's the deal. Her first book was called The House Without Windows. It was published in January of 1927.
Okay.
She's in 1923. So what is that? 4 years before, when she was 8, she started writing this book. It was going to be a birthday present. Yes.
Okay.
So part of the whole manuscript got burned up in a house fire. She rewrote the whole thing.
Oh, geez.
Her father was an editor at Knopf Publishing, and brought it in. Everyone read it. Was like, yeah, this is great. Came out in 1927. The New York Times said it was wonderful. The Saturday Review said it was wonderful. H.L. Mencken said it was wonderful.
Wow.
And she was hailed as a child genius. And her second book was based on time she spent on a schooner in Nova Scotia. It was published a year later.
How much time was she on a schooner at that age?
I have no clue.
Is this like the story of the little kid that looked in the library and said, that's me in the Civil War book, and had all the memories of it?
I don't know. But what Wikipedia?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. There's all of these amazing things. So one because it's Wikipedia, just says at age 14, she had reached the apex of her life and career.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So she was 16 when the Great Depression started, got married on December 7th, 1939. She left the apartment that she shared with her husband with $30 in her pocket and was never seen again.
Hmm.
Her husband might have waited 2 weeks before calling the police.
Well, that's a bit mysterious.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. For 2 weeks he waited to report it. 4 months after telling the police, he requested that they put out a missing persons bulletin. But they have never found her. There was no body found, and this is Brookline, Massachusetts. This is a city. This is not the middle of
Right.
nowhere. This isn't Michigan we're talking about here.
No, of course not.
But they she was 25 and just disappeared. And I've been fascinated by this. She's been missing for 83 years.
Okay.
In 2019, one person claimed that the body had been found in 1948, but incorrectly identified.
So are people trying to find her? Have they tried all this time, or did they not try?
I think they basically they never found any signs of foul play, even though the husband sounds incredibly sketchy.
He does sound incredibly sketchy, but maybe he was just more like, oh, she'll be back.
Right. I was thinking this the other day, the fact that like somebody, like, I can't remember what the story was, someone running from the police or something and thinking like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Or trying to escape out of prison.
Right.
But then I was thinking like, but how often do those types of people sit there and go, I never thought I'd be here. Like,
Right.
why not?
Of course.
You know,
I mean, may as well try this.
right.
What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to end up right back where I started.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, or best case scenario for Clint Eastwood, he escapes from Alcatraz.
I mean,
Although
only one to do it.
Title kind of gives it away.
Kind of does.
Interesting.
Is it still true nobody ever escaped from there for real?
There is some belief that the way the current was the night that the three guys escaped, that because they found the raft they had made out of raincoats and they had pumped it up using a concertina or an accordion.
Right. Which is so crazy, by the way, that they had all of those things.
Yes.
Especially the concertina.
No prisoner should be given an accordion. That counts as cruel and unusual. No. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Here we go. And this one's called
the
Lady
Prison
in Spain.
Oompa Band.
Right. But
Malagueña, here we come.
But there is one of the prisoners, I believe someone in his family for decades afterwards kept getting postcards from strange cancellation stamps on them that they didn't really say anything, but they were convinced like this was this person saying, oh no, we got out.
Yeah.
And I think the more time has gone by, the more people believe that they did actually make it.
Yeah.
And that the whole like they didn't make it was sort of
because we want to still the image.
Yes, exactly. If the government and the penal system wanting to be like we got
this locked down.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Fascinating.
But so what were we talking? No, sorry.
People who disappear, never to be seen again.
So Barbara Follett, they think they might have found her body in 1948. It was near a farmhaus that her and her husband had a longstanding rental in, and I guess all of
10 years later.
Yes, and all the body and the clothing and everything else matched kind of with what she wore and had, and they found a bottle with the barbiturate in it next to her, which she had, and so they think it was probably suicide, but who knows for certain? I feel like it's still considered like, who knows?
I don't know. I think she ran away and started a whole new life because she'd already done all that.
Yeah, when you're 17 and have published 2 novels.
Right.
which I'm trying to,
And then
let me
you get
just,
married and it's the depression and you're settled down with a husband. This is a terrible story. I'd
I
run
know.
away too.
Well, and let's do the math. That is, yeah, that's two more novels than you and I have written.
Correct.
So that is, I don't know why it's worthy of
She's
note, but it
way
should
ahead.
be.
That's way more time on a scooter than either of us have spent.
A scooter? Oh, schooner.
Schooner.
Schooner. It's like,
Also scooter, but
how do you know
no,
how much time I've
schooner.
spent on a scooter?
You probably would be on a scooter. You kind
No,
of look like Scooter from
oh, thank you.
the Muppet Show.
Jesus.
You could call me Miss Piggy. It's fine.
Oh,
I'll take it.
anyway,
She
no,
had great fashion game.
you cannot decide what your own nickname is. That's not how this works.
Fine.
You can call me this. No, I can't. No, I cannot.
Yeah, you can.
Um,
Well, I'd want to be Rolf.
I just again think to the Keith Richards quote when they
Yes.
asked him, I'm going to say it again
I
because
know, because you do love it.
I do
Go
love
ahead.
it. When Mick Jagger was knighted and they asked Keith if they were going to call him Sir Mick, and he said, we have enough nicknames
Mhm.
for him.
Right.
One
That's
of them
true.
apparently is Brenda, which apparently drives
That's
Mick
hilarious.
nuts.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Um,
Without a doubt. I'm sure it is on heavy rotation as well, especially now that they're out and about
yeah.
recording and whatnot.
Yes. So I don't know. I'm fascinated by this. I think it's just the Converseness of it all has just got me thinking in this sort of very fall. It's
I
sort of a
know. Well, and everything we're doing with the famous last words, all of it. But I want like you need to find me one that where there have been like potential, almost like when Elvis was spotted all around Kalamazoo at the Burger King. Like
I
I
don't know.
want one
Right.
where the because both of these stories signs point that perhaps they just didn't end
Chose
well.
right. Yes. Yes.
I want I want one where signs point. You don't have to solve it, but where signs point that they just started a new life, or they're living as someone else, or
Well, I think
I need a fairy tale. And
well, but I think especially with Connie Converse, so the way she disappeared and just drove off, her brother and
right,
sister-in-law intentionally did not look for her because they said, this
sure,
is what she wanted. This is her thing.
of course,
And
yes,
years later, they did hire a private eye who thought he might have seen her, like it was St. Louis or something. So, like, there are these chances that perhaps she was out there for a
I know.
while. And I kind of go to the Iris Dement, let the mystery be-ness of it all. And
Well, I agree. I agree, but I want the mystery to really be a mystery. Because I feel
right.
like even with Connie's, I feel like that that there are signs that point to a certain thing. I want there to be a little bit more half and half, even.
I just I mean, there's a story, Jim Sullivan, who was a singer-songwriter, um, and had written a couple books on or sorry, was really into conspiracy theories. His first album was called UFO Alien Abduction. Who
Of
his
course, it was.
car, yeah, why not? Uh, he was driving from LA to Nashville, stopped somewhere in New Mexico, found his car
Of course.
abandoned with a bunch of copies of records in the backseat, his albums in the backseat. Uh,
All right.
you can kind of guess what happened. And
Well, of
Eva and
course, he got abducted by the aliens. Said,
right
"Take me to your people." Stayed there
got probed and was like, let's get out of here.
and had a good time.
Whereas our friend Barbara and Brookline, I feel like there's a lot of things that point towards the husband having done it.
Well, yeah.
And so there's that element of like, well, did he get away with it? But there
Well,
seems to be
yeah.
like
Of
there were several solutions one could find. And I think the fascinating
course.
thing about Connie Converse is the fact that she was able to effectively do exactly what she wanted and just
Yes, it's
disappear into
true.
the ether and just leave everyone wondering what happened to her.
Yes.
And the thing about her music, I think partially because of the era and it's recorded and the sound quality of it, there's a very ethereal thing about it, and maybe it's because I'm reading the Lol Tolhurst book on the history of goth. Um,
Yes.
but just that idea of the like wanting to make a record or a song that just sort of comes in off the wind and then just blows away again, and
Yeah.
there's something kind of romantic about it.
No, I agree with that. And I do feel that way with her story, but you tend to also always pull it this, you don't normally say it this way. You normally
No,
talk about it like, yeah, she drove off and that was she died. But even though I do believe people doing things on their terms, no matter what
right.
the result is awesome. But I feel breezing in, breezing out, but breezing out and doing something to just being a different person is what I
Right.
want her to be.
Yes. I mean, she was
Sitting in a truck stop at 4 a.m. and hearing her song while she eats pie and not even looking up, like just
right.
refusing to acknowledge that it's her.
I shoot some amazing glasses. The glasses work was unbelievable.
Well,
Like almost
she
cat.
obviously had to lose those.
Well, not necessarily. Do your hair different, maybe dye it. She
Yeah,
dressed rather conservatively. There are
she
things.
probably, there are things.
But and maybe I'm just thinking of the Midwest of like a, you know, Jim Thompson paperback of just, Mildred Piercian kind of like just
Well, there's that.
no name town. And
Well,
uh
yeah, but
which
I
my
don't know.
favorite, did I tell you my favorite story about the first time I saw Mildred Pierce?
No,
Not that this has to do it.
which Mildred Pierce?
The Joan Crawford version.
Okay.
So my intro to film class, which is like 100 plus people, every week the professor gets up there, lectures for an hour plus on something that is well established in this film: match
Yes.
cuts, jump cuts, the diegesis of a film, which
Mhm.
all I can do is work that into like dinner conversation.
Right, of course.
I can say mise en scène with the best of them. So, but they
I
showed,
know.
I can't even remember what the example was that they were trying to show us by showing us Mildred Pierce. But one, when Mildred slaps her daughter, the entire room burst out in applause. Keep in mind, it was a different time.
No, no,
Yeah.
but I mean, her daughter's a lot.
Yeah. But at the after the
I mean,
film,
I'm not, not condoning such behavior, but also, yes, different
but
time,
yeah.
knowing it's a fictional portrayal, I understand.
But then at the end, the professor's talking a little bit more, and she says, "Yeah, and this film was incredibly popular at the time. It was nominated for Best Picture." And somebody from literally the last row screams out as loud as he possibly can, "You have got to be kidding me!" But anyway,
And it wasn't you.
no, I kind of dug it, but
I kind
also
of dig
like,
it too, but
I,
I think we both see where it's coming from.
yeah, and similarly, I have a soft spot for the Douglas Sirk, Written on the Wind. That one's amazing. Where it ends where she's stroking the oil well, and you're like, "Oh, what are you trying to tell us here?" It's not subtle. Let's just put it that way.
No, I love the subtle unsubtleties of old film.
Oh my God. Oh, when I show rope to people when I'm teaching that one,
Oh, it's a doozy.
I just, how does the censor? But anyway, um,
But I
no,
think
but
that's what was so funny is it even goes back to like when we talked about Tallulah, right? It's
mhm,
just so fascinating because these things that were supposed to be so, things were much purer and we got all the censors and all this and no, we can't do that. And heaven forbid, husband and wife are in bed together without their feet on the floor. But
mhm.
you can do all these other things
But
and we'll pretend we didn't notice.
right. I mean, I had a friend who maintained resoundingly the best art was made under constant and frequent impositions. And so like
I see that.
there's certain filmmakers like Boonwell, you can look at his stuff and be like, if that guy had free reign, those movies would not be what they were.
No, it's true.
um but
I
to
mean, it's a
try
really
to
simplistic, kind of dumb example,
mhm,
but it's not really. I mean, it's the same concept ultimately. as all those years the animators were sneaking penises and sex into the Lion King,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
the castle for, you know, it's just what can
It-
we get away with?
and it's a little bit of the church giggles, I feel like.
It is totally,
Um,
absolutely.
and so I think to loop this all back and wrap this up, I don't know why
Yes.
we need to wrap this up,
I don't know.
but I think I think the older I get, the more comfortable I have become with the idea of saying I don't know as an answer to a question, but also in general with Connie's
Yes,
story, just sort of saying like, okay, I don't want to know. This was her decision not to let anyone know. If she
I
chose
get
to,
that.
if she chose to end things in a particular way, she would have done that. And perhaps she
Yes,
did and didn't want to hurt those around her by them having to deal with the aftermath. Who
of
knows?
course. Right.
But I just I love the idea in this person's life and in their situation that they made this decision, and for all intents and purposes they got away with it. She did exactly what she wanted to
Yes,
do.
it's true.
And I think especially when you're talking about artists, which is kind of where I was going at, I think with some of this, was this
Yes, of
idea that
course.
she lived her life exactly like she wanted to. And if you are an artist and you're every is part of your life is part of your art and your being and you're considering all this stuff, there's something kind of wonderful about like, okay, she did it.
Yes, it's true.
But I don't think it's the great way to end many a book.
Well, no.
And I
I
think
mean,
I think we have to say, just put it out there. This is not a good way to end your story.
it's not. I
So
mean, I
to
think it's
friends
a
and
better way to
family
end
who
a
are
book
listening,
than a real story.
yes, for friends and family and anyone else, and all of you are friends, and all of you are family, quite literally. Uh, don't end your story this way. Find another
No,
way. Find another.
right. I mean,
Ask
if
for
you're
a
writing,
co-writer. Ask for a co-writer.
yes, ask for a co-writer or a co-pilot,
Co-pilot would be great.
you know, someone to just run away with you, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it might be.
Someone to Thelma and Louise. To Thelma, your Louise.
Without the murder in Grand Canyon jumping or whatever that hole in the desert
Don't
was.
give away the ending.
But you may have some fun with Brad Pitt in a hairdryer.
You know,
You can wear a sassy tank top and some jeans.
live your truth. Live
I
your
think it'd be
truth.
excellent. I
Yes.
agree. I mean, I do think if you're writing a novel or you have a fictional piece, I do think an ending like this is outstanding. Like I like an
Yes.
ending and something like that where you have to talk to people to say, what did he do? Like the end of, which is not at all like this, but it is. And the end of Unfaithful, I love that ending.
What is it? They go into the house and it's a wide shot. Is that what it is? I'm trying to remember now.
They're at a stop, four-way stop.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes.
And so you don't know if he turns himself in or they go home because they can absolutely do either.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It like makes the whole film for me.
The one I always think about is Frankenstein,
Mm-hmm.
where it ends with the doctor chasing his monster or the monster chasing the doctor
Right.
through out into the snow. And there's something kind of lovely about that.
It is.
Which is a good time to remind everyone listening that Frankenstein is the name of the doctor, not the name of the monster.
Absolutely.
I raised my children to know this, and we should all do this. Although I did
I
see
know.
a paperback edition where someone on the last page wrote, after Mary Shelley's last sentence, wrote, it's okay if you want to call me Frankenstein too, said the monster. The end.
That's kind of hilarious.